First thing that jumped out to me when handicapping the Thanksgiving Day NFL game between the Packers and the Lions is the fact the Packers are underdogs. This will be the first time all season that Matt LaFleur's team is set to take points. Does that mean we should be betting Green Bay on Thursday? That's what I'm here to talk about today. What's going on, everybody? Brian Power here for Picks and Parlays. Not only will I be breaking down Packers versus Lions in this video for you today, but stay tuned for my analysis of the Black Friday matchup between the Bears and Eagles as well. That will immediately follow in this same video. Do me a favor. While you're watching, when you agree with me, and I'm sure you will, go ahead and smash that like button. Or if you disagree with what I have to say, that's okay. Feel free to comment down below. All right, let's talk about the Packers versus the Lions, a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. This game will be broadcast on Fox. I already mentioned that this will be the first time all season that Green Bay comes in as the underdog. Head coach Matt LaFleur has typically thrived in that role. His Packers teams are a money-making 25-13 against the spread when taking points. Furthermore, they're 20-18 straight up. So betting this NFC North matchup seems to be as simple as taking the points, right? We're possibly sprinkling a little bit on the money line. Not so fast, my friends. First off, going back to 2004, favorites have dominated these Thanksgiving NFL games, going 51-9 straight up and 40-20 against the spread. A tip of the cap goes to Bet Labs for that trend. Secondly, this is a big-time revenge game for Dan Campbell's Lions, who lost in Green Bay all the way back in Week 1, 27-13, as 1.5-point underdogs. After that game, many were anointing the Packers not just the favorite to win this division, but to possibly go to the Super Bowl. But the Pack have generally not been a good team to bet on this season, have they? They did rout the Vikings, last week, 23-6 as 6.5-point favorites, but the Pack had failed to cover the spread in 7 of 8 games prior to that victory. Also, for the most part, Detroit has had Green Bay's number these previous several seasons, winning and covering 6 of the last 8 meetings overall, even with that Week 1 defeat. Now, the Lions were pretty fortunate to get by the Giants last Sunday. They needed overtime as 14-point favorites just to win. The Lions were very close to losing that game in regulation. While they did win, improving to 14-0 straight up the last 14 times they've been off a loss, the defense was pretty bad, gave up over 500 total yards to Jameis Winston. A short week after playing an overtime game hardly seems like an ideal spot. Detroit will actually be the third team in the last 2 seasons to go from an overtime game on Sunday to playing on Thursday the following week. Surprisingly, the previous 2 both covered the spread, but prior to that, teams in this situation were a horrible 4-21 straight up and 3-22 against the spread. Again, that's according to Bet Labs. Thank you for that. Thank you to them for that information. And it's provided that the opponent was not coming off an overtime game as well. So lots of conflicting trends for this one. Not to chicken out, but I would tease the Packers up to 8.5 here. This is a team, or pardon me, it's not a team that gets blown out very often. In fact, Green Bay's 3 losses this season have each been by a field goal, exactly 3 points for all 3. I'll also add this. Something seems a bit off with this Detroit offense. When Jahmyr Gibbs isn't ripping off a huge run, there just isn't the usual explosiveness from Jared Goff and company. Don't be surprised if it's the Packers defense that ends up being the deciding factor on Thursday. They've held 4 straight opponents to 20 points or fewer. All right, smash that like button if you agree with the idea of teasing the Packers. Of course, if we're choosing to tease the Pack here, then we need to find a second leg. That's where our next game comes in, Bears at Eagles, 3 p.m. Eastern Friday on Amazon Prime. Remember, everyone, just because something is on sale doesn't mean you have to buy it. And I'm not buying the Bears, who are a somewhat fraudulent 8-3 straight up on the year. We're talking about a team with a negative year-to-date point differential, a negative year-to-date yards per play differential. The most recent DVOA commentary said that this is the worst 8-3 team by DVOA in history. Here is the list of teams that the Bears have beaten so far: Dallas, Las Vegas, Washington, New Orleans, Cincinnati, the Giants, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh. 7 of those 8 wins have come by 5 points or less. The one exception was at home against the Saints. Now, the Eagles are not without their own issues. Namely, they've been outgained in all but 2 games this season. They too have a negative yards per play differential on the season. So fair to question their 8-3 straight up record as well. But at home, I do expect the Super Bowl champs to bounce back and at least win the game straight up Friday afternoon. We could tease them down to -1. Remember, the Eagles were up 21-0 on Dallas last week before imploding. I was happy to see it. The Cowboys were my top play last week in the NFL. But the Bears simply have not beaten a team in Philly's class all season. So just to recap here, for the two games I've talked about today, Packers versus Lions and Bears versus Eagles, we're going to do a two-team 6-point teaser, tease the Packers up from 2.5 to 8.5, and tease Philadelphia down from -7 to -1. Again, that's Packers plus 8.5 and Eagles -1 as a two-team teaser to get you started for NFL Week 13. Hoping 13 is a lucky number for me over at Picks and Parlays, where I've gone an impressive 4-1-1 with NFL sides and totals the last 2 weeks. That's 80% overall. I've had 3 underdogs that won their games outright during that stretch, those being the Jaguars over the Chargers, the Texans over the Bills, and the Cowboys over the Eagles. Now, I've released only 2 totals this entire NFL season. Surprised about that. Usually I do more totals. I'm not a huge totals guy, but usually more than 2 by Thanksgiving. Now, what's not surprising is I've won both NFL totals bets that I made. So it's big news on Thanksgiving that I'm going to be releasing my strongest NFL total today. As a matter of fact, it's the strongest total I've released this entire football season, NFL or college. You can get it now at Picks and Parlays for a limited time. You can get it regardless, but for a limited time, you can use coupon code THANKS33. There you see it right there on your screen. A Cyber Week site-wide sale, 33% off anything, the cost of any purchase. That includes daily picks, full season subscriptions, or flex plans. Good for any sport as well, not just the NFL, not just college, but basketball as well. Again, my strongest NFL over-under release so far this season goes on Thanksgiving. Get it now at Picks and Parlays. I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to both like and subscribe. And this is your last chance to comment as well. Any questions on the Thanksgiving slate, I'd be more than happy to answer them, provided I see it in time. Now, be sure to check out this next video.